Tamela. Let's laugh and spread love. Tea with Tamela. You're more than enough. Tea with Tamela. Don't ever give up. Tea with Tamela. Come and fill your cup. Tea with Tamela.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Tea with Tamela, where we're talking faith, family, food, football, and everyday moments in between. If you're new here, I'm Tamela, your host. Thank you for joining me. I hope this episode leaves you full of joy, hope, inspiration, and I'm all about growth opportunities. So I hope you look forward to finding something or some way you can grow from this episode. Today, I am joined by my dear, dear friend, Jasmine Sweet.
Hey,
Hey,
Tamela.
girl, hey.
We're gonna have a sweet time.
We're gonna have a sweet time. Okay, so I just love that your last name is Sweet, because it's such a cute wordplay, and she's actually turned her last name into like a whole lifestyle brand. So,
Yeah.
momming, wifing,
Yep.
entrepreneur,
Yeah.
podcasting, influencer, like all the things, and I
Mhm.
just love that it's the sweet life, the sweet house, the sweet, 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 sweet.
Me too. I thought Alex was lying when I first met him in college, and he told me he was Alex Sweet. I was like, okay, please stop pulling my leg.
You're like,
Like,
no,
just.
we're not doing the charm today,
I
young
was like,
man.
carry on, sir. Like, yeah, find somebody else.
Find somebody
But
else to charm.
he was Prince Charming. I always say, like, I met my Mr. Big. You know how Carrie had married, or they did end up getting married
I
later
think they
on
did
in the
later on.
movie. Yeah.
Yes.
So Carrie met Mr. Big, and then I met Mr. Sweet.
Come on,
So
Mr. Sweet.
I know, but he truly is so sweet, and he just inherited that quality from his dad,
Oh,
the
that's
OG
sweet.
Mr. Sweet.
The OG Mr. Sweet. I like
Yes,
that.
he's like the sweetest man you will ever meet. I remember when I
Aw.
first met Alex, and he was filling out Alex's FAFSA and doing scholarship applications with his little sister. And most dads don't do that kind of stuff,
They don't. They
but
don't.
his dad was. And so I was
Aw.
like, what kind of
What kind
sitcom is
of
this? Like, what is
he was
happening?
grooming the OG Mr. Sweet was grooming little Mr.
Yeah,
Sweet so
he
he
was
could
grooming my
sweet. I
husband.
love
So, yes, husbands and daddies take note for sure.
that. Take note. Take note. We
Yeah.
love sweet men.
They don't make them like DeMario and Alex.
Few and far in between, it's like one of those lottery ticket things.
It is. It seriously is. I can't believe it's been 16 years for us.
16?
Mm-hmm.
God,
Yeah,
that's a long time.
it's a long time.
How do you
Six-
feel? 16
I
years.
feel like I just met him in college, and like we're going to his track meets, and he's coming to all my pageants and all the things that I used to do. And I feel like we've just morphed into who we are now, like
Mhm.
Mr. and Mrs. Sweet. And we get each
That
other.
sounds so cute, though.
So,
Mr. and
and
Mrs.
we get
Sweet.
each other to like almost like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, where it's like, I got your back. Like, you got my back.
Mhm.
And whichever way we turn, we have all the weapons to fight everything.
Oh, I love
And
that.
so I don't know. I feel good. I can't, I keep waiting on the sky to fall because everybody says, oh, marriage is so hard and all the things.
You're like,
And
I'm waiting.
I know, I just feel,
Honeymooning. You still honeymooning.
I feel safe.
Well, that's big. You want to feel
Yes,
safe
I don't feel like I'm like watching my back for something to happen.
for the disaster that people
Yeah.
talk
And I
about.
wish more people talked about marriage in that way because I think,
See, you got a whole project right there. There you go.
yeah.
You should do that.
Yeah, but I also enjoy being around other couples like you and Demario who are
Aw,
also
thank you.
like exhibiting what it's like to live in a peaceful marriage
Yeah.
and have a family dynamic that just feels good.
Family
feels sweet.
dynamics are I think a big part
Yeah.
of just how you decide that you want to
Yeah.
show up in the world,
Yeah.
how you want to show up like in building your own family. And I like that you mentioned family dynamics just because I think sometimes when we're going through life, it's like our lived experiences that
Yeah.
shape and mold us, and it helps us decide who we want to become
Mhm.
and like who we don't want to become. And so
Yeah.
we take sometimes different approaches than we saw growing up or
Yeah.
that we saw on TV or whatever that may be. And then sometimes we welcome in some of the things. So it's like you're sorting through like, what do I want? What do I
Mhm.
not want? How do I want to do this? How do I want to
Yeah.
build my life? How do I want to build this family?
Yeah.
So like thinking back to like your lived experiences, like you
Hmm.
come from a large family.
I do.
Was it 5 of you guys, 6
It's
of you?
5 of us, and then I have a half brother. So,
So
and I am the youngest of the 5.
she's the baby.
Yes, I am the baby, and then my half brother is he has kids that are my age.
Okay.
So,
What?
yeah.
Wait, no.
Yeah. So my dad had his first son when he was 18, and
Okay.
then he and my mom got married when they were 20 and 21.
Okay.
And then they had 5 kids starting when my mom was 25 all the way to when she was 35. She had me
Oh
at
my
35.
goodness.
So I also think of you a lot when I think about my family because it's you are K. Like so
Miss K,
it's so
give
it's
me
just
all the
so
wisdom.
funny.
Give me all the wisdom.
And she was just like you, like running the house and making sure everything was getting taken care of. And then there were the 5 of us.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents were entrepreneurs. My dad had a construction company, and my mom did all his bookkeeping and all the
Aw, I
logistics and
love
stuff.
that.
And so
Okay.
he also had a music production company. He
Oh,
played
wow.
artists like Prince and Casey and JoJo and um
I didn't know that.
yeah, Rance Allen. He did like he was the guy back in the day. So I grew up watching that, and then I also think entrepreneurship is a genetic thing
Okay.
because all of us have had our feet in entrepreneurship. And then my sister Kayla and I, we are the youngest. We've also gone the corporate route and
Mm-hmm.
also done entrepreneurship. But back to the family dynamics, I came from a family that was like sold on the idea of marriage. My parents were married for 44 years. It
Wow.
wasn't perfect, but they were married for 44 years. They
Mm-hmm.
modeled that for us. And
Mm-hmm.
then we went to church, all 5 of us, every
Wow.
Sunday in a big van. And they pass along a lot of these values and just everyday life things to
Mm-hmm.
us. So here we are. It was wild and crazy. It's still wild and crazy. We just got back from Houston, the whole family.
Everybody?
Yes, minus my dad because he's gone to heaven, and
Mm,
minus my sister-in-law who went to see
yeah.
Jesus last year. I describe them as such because I like to envision them
Mm-hmm.
living their best lives
Right.
just next to Jesus. And
Yeah.
so I know the Bible says we have I mean, we don't really know for sure,
Right.
but if I'm going to find my safe space
You
with
have to
with
find it.
grief,
Yes.
then that is the ideology that I would like to see them in.
Yeah.
So
So
they
carrying
are
those memories with y'all.
yeah, yeah. And my daddy shows up in like the strangest ways, like just different things. Like I mean,
Really?
yeah, he's still here with us, all 5 of us, and my mom.
Do you like kind of like embrace that, or do you like question that, or do you get like weirded out by it?
I'm not weirded out by it. It is the reason why I feel like my faith increased
Mm-hmm.
because especially after I became a mom,
Mm-hmm.
because Rain was actually born on the day that we buried my dad. So we buried him 11/21/16, and she was born 11/21/21
Oh,
at 2:02 in the
wow.
morning. And so
Wow.
she actually has his mom's middle name, Opal.
Okay.
And I never met my grandmother, but my dad would always say, "You act just like my mom." And so I named Rain Opal because God reigns. She took Opal from my grandmother, his mom, and she was born on that day, which has a new meaning for me because I remember when we were
Mm.
burying my dad, I was fine up until we put him in the ground. And there was
Mm.
something like about us lowering him into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
When the funeral people, I forget their names because I'm having mom brain, lower them into the ground. There was something symbolic that I felt broken. And
Mm.
then my aunt
Wow.
came to me, and now I'm gonna cry tea with Tamela.
Oh, we're gonna
Um,
get some tissue. We got tissue. We're gonna get
but
you.
my aunt came to me and she said, "You're going to be fine. Like, this is just, you are going to be able to carry this with you for the rest of your life and you're
Mm-hmm.
going to find supernatural strength." And I did.
Mm.
So 5
Wow.
years later, when I had rain on that day, the day looks and feels different for me, but I
Right.
never forget that memory of lowering him in the ground.
Mm.
But
Oh my
I
goodness.
have experienced death and I have given birth because we were
Mm-hmm.
all with him, and I hope your kids are able to experience this when
Mm-hmm.
you or Demario go off to heaven. We were all surrounding his bed and we were all singing Like I said, my parents sent us to church every Sunday. All this family of 7, we loaded up in the van, and that's where we
Mhm.
went. So we were all standing around his bed singing, and the nurses were crying. The priest was crying. We're not even Catholic, but every hospital has a priest, and
Wait, I
so
didn't even realize all the hospitals had a priest.
yes, the priest was crying, and
Oh.
it was just beautiful to see. And so when you
Mhm.
think of family dynamics, that is how we saw my daddy off. And so your kids will never have to do life alone. They
Yeah.
have an insurance policy by way of each other. And
I like how
you
you
all
put
have an
that
insurance
in.
policy by way of this extension of your family, of the two of you all.
Mm.
So it's just, I never feel alone really
Right.
because I have them. So, and I'm the last of them.
You're the la so what's the order? What's the order of your siblings?
So Jason is the oldest, then
Okay.
Valerie, then Patrick, then Kayla, then me. And
Okay.
then my oldest brother, little Emerson, he's older than Jason. I didn't grow up with little Emerson because
Mhm.
they lived in Kentucky, and
Okay.
then we were in Jackson, Tennessee. So, and by the time my mom had me, he was also having kids too because he was
Okay.
much older.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
So,
So
I mean, that sounds like a beautiful family dynamic.
yeah.
I love how present,
Mhm.
your parents were and how
Mhm.
they like built something inside of you guys or how they help you guys cultivate your relationships, with each
Mhm.
other,
Yeah.
with them. How do you feel like that family dynamic really like shaped and especially you being the baby because you
Mhm.
had to watch like
Yeah.
so much of what was happening in
Yeah.
everybody else's life
Mhm.
and then they're trying I'm sure like some of the siblings probably tried to parent you
Yeah.
at the same time as your
Kayla
parents
tries to parent me. Kayla, if you're watching.
You're not the mom. That's what I tell my middle child all the time. I'm
Yeah.
like, you are not the mom.
It's so funny though, because Kayla's 2 years older than me, but she thinks that she is the mother. And then Valerie, my older sister, is 8 years older than me. And Valerie's like, so how do you feel? Like, whatever you want to do. And she will get more adamant about things, but for the most part, she's very chill and just respects more of my
Hmm.
opinions. And Kayla's the one that's like, well, I think you should do this and that.
She's like, I
And
got a plan for you. You need to
yeah,
follow this
I got a
plan.
plan for you. If
I
you
got a
don't do
plan.
this plan, then,
Then
so
it's all over.
yeah. But it is funny because Kayla and I are both moms, and Valerie decided not to be a mom. She said that she raised us and she's like, I'm good. And with
Hmm.
her career in music, her lifestyle just looks different. So, because motherhood is a sacrifice. And
Yeah.
so, it's a sacrifice that some careers don't necessarily align with. And so Valerie was just like, I don't want kids. But Kayla and I, since we are the moms and the little sisters of the bunch, we definitely bounce off of each other a lot more. And so I
Yeah.
think she has kind of backed down with her, this is my plan for your life.
She's
So,
like, okay, think
yeah.
together. We can figure this out. And you
Mhm.
create your plan. I
Yeah.
can weigh in on it from
Yeah.
time to time and let
Yeah.
you kind of do your thing.
Yep. So, that's
So
where we
with
are.
y'all all like growing up together,
Mhm.
there's this age difference, there's
Mhm.
probably this voice of reasoning that's
Yeah.
taking place. There's somebody who wants to be fully in charge, not so much somebody who's receiving all of the
Mhm.
I guess the trickle down effect. How do
Yeah.
you feel like it shaped and molded you like as an individual, like as a mom, as
Yeah.
a wife, as an
Yeah.
entrepreneur?
I think I looked at my upbringing, and entrepreneurship is genetic, as I mentioned before.
Mhm.
So I knew no matter what I did, I was going to be an entrepreneur on top of going the safe route,
Mhm.
which for our generation was go to college, get a corporate job,
Yep.
and figure it out. And so then I went to college, got a corporate job, and then I was like, I remember sitting in my cube at First Tennessee because I worked for a First Tennessee corporate as
Mhm.
a social media manager. Number one, people told me to get a real job because social media managers are not real jobs. This is in
What?
2011.
Oh,
And
look at
so
them, not
I
knowing
know,
what was
isn't this
going
crazy how
so
everything has evolved? And then number two, I was making like $30,000 a year.
Mhm.
And I'm like, this can't be life. Like, wait a minute. I have to sit in a cube. And what's so funny is back to the whole Sex and the City thing. I thought
Oh,
that
I
corporate
love some
America
Sex and the
was
City.
like so glamorous.
Uh-huh.
So I'm literally walking in with this box of all my cute little trinkets and stuff that I'm going to put on my desk. And
Mhm.
then this guy named Horace is a black guy who sat around the corner from me in another cube.
Mhm.
He was like, I think you need to pack up all your stuff right now and take it all back home because none of that belongs to you. This place is not your home. So you pack your stuff up and you take it back home today.
Wait, huh?
And the reason he said that is
Wait,
because
what?
when they lay you off,
Oh, wow.
this place is not your home. And
Mm.
so you're going to be packing all that stuff back up, the cute
Mhm.
little pink this and the cute little pink that, and all
Mhm.
the things that Sex and the City and Gossip Girl sold us.
Mhm.
And you're going to be walking to that elevator with your cardboard box in tears. So he stopped me right then and there and was like, this is not your home.
He's like,
Like,
"Don't get
let me
comfortable
show you
here."
the reality. Yeah. And he's like, I see you. You are bright. You're talented. Like, you've got so much more to offer. And I mean, in my corporate tenure, I have been laid off 3 times. And I mean, I got to a point where that I go back to that lesson that he taught me as a 21-year-old fresh out of college over and over again. And I'm just like, yeah, I am so glad that he taught me early on that this place is not my home.
Mhm.
So let me also figure out how to exist outside of this place and this dream that our generation was sold because it was a dream that we were sold.
Why do you think we were sold that dream? Was it because like even because your parents were entrepreneurs, so why
Yeah.
do you think like that dream was still like sold to you and maybe your siblings?
Me personally, so my mom was coming from a family that was heavy on education. My grandmother went to TSU. All my mom and her 4 siblings, they all went to college. They all ended up in corporate America and they were
Mhm.
wildly successful. I mean, one of my uncles worked for the Pentagon. He was like the VP of technology for American Federation of Teachers. Another one of my aunts was pretty high up at Xerox. She was like, I mean, for what it's worth, my mom's family were very successful people in the corporate world,
Okay.
and
Okay.
their mother kind of put that seed in them.
Yeah.
And so then my mom put that seed in us. Now, Kayla and I were the only 2 of the 5 who went to college. My
Really?
siblings, Jason, Patrick, and Valerie, were like, no, we're going to do this. And so it was interesting, me being the baby, being able to watch them do their different things. Jason went into construction, Valerie went into the music industry. Patrick went into a pressure washing business. And then Kayla and I, we were like, okay, like our generation, let's just figure out how to do both. So
Mhm.
Kayla's done both. She's got some real estate stuff going on. She's also in medical device. Kayla's pretty high up in medical device at this point, and she's
Mhm.
got like pretty much, I think, half of America do a medical device.
Oh,
And
wow.
so but it's funny, we both went to school for broadcast journalism, but I think we went to school for broadcast journalism because the creative entrepreneurial side, like I said, is just ingrained in us.
Mhm.
And so we didn't want to just be stuck in a cube. And
Right.
so it's like it was just in us. As they say, it's in you, not on you.
Mhm.
But my dad's side of the family, I would say probably a bit more respectful of people who just want to be and do
Mm.
whatever they want to do.
Right.
And my mom's side of the family was very much so like, you go to college and this is your path to success. But
Yes.
the game of life, the actual board game, it's always been one of my favorite games.
Really?
Yes, one of my favorite board games.
I don't even
That
know if
and
I've
Clue.
played it
Girl,
a
have you
ton.
never played it?
I don't I
Whoever came up with the game of life, the
I need to
board
go play
game,
it.
yes, we need to have game night.
Let's
But
do
it's so
it.
good because you either get to choose a path to go to college or start your career at
Mhm.
the beginning of the game, and just all kinds of crazy stuff starts happening on the board. You owe taxes, like you have 5 kids.
That
I
sounds
mean,
familiar.
but it's so real. And so
Mhm.
I think when I think about it, I'm just like, I kind of got the best of blueprints
Mhm.
possible because I was the baby. But I also got the best of both blueprints because I had both of my parents had very different dynamics. My dad did not go to college, but he started a wildly successful construction company. And then my mom did go to college and she worked for 13 years up until she had me. And then she went back to work for like 2 weeks and she was like, absolutely not. I think I'm done here. So,
Right.
and I'm gonna give my mom her credit right now because I think, because she chose to be a housewife when she had me, at that
Mhm.
point, she had 5 kids under 10 years old.
Wow.
And in today's time, people do not celebrate women who choose to take care of their children.
They do not.
And I don't like it. So I'm going to say it out loud for the people in the back because
Thank you.
it is very much so a job, is very much so so logistical. And so I'm just like, I'm gonna give every woman their praise. And it is a respected position for you to have enough courage to take it on because it is a courageous job.
It's very courageous, and I really appreciate you saying that because so many women, I think, struggle,
Mm-hmm.
and they struggle big time
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out
Yeah.
how to choose one or the other,
And you don't have
and
to
you don't
choose.
have to choose one
Mm-mm.
or the other, or they feel like if they choose one, the other is lack, or if they
Then they're
choose both, then
inadequate.
they're inadequate, and there are all these different things. And I remember there was a season where I was just heavily like
You have to
homebound,
be.
like
Somebody has to
really
do
trying
it.
to like take care of my family with like this crazy career path we were on. And I remember, and I can't remember who it is, but somebody said to me, they were like, "What do you do all day?" Nothing. Like, do you just hang out? Like, and they were asking me all
Mm-hmm.
these questions about what I did all day. And I stopped, and it took me to have some courage and
Mm-hmm.
to really stand up and ask this question, because sometimes I try to be like very kumbaya, and then other times I'm like
Mm-hmm.
bat crap crazy. So it's usually not a middle ground. I'm like, how do I have a middle ground here? And I said,
Or find some diplomacy and some autonomy
right,
about what you're doing.
yes,
It's like, yeah, actually, I'm not going to
actually.
let you demean what I'm doing day by day, hour to hour.
Well, that was the thing, because this person had kids. They were just someone who was career focused, who
Mhm.
had kids, so they weren't home with their kids. So
Mhm.
the question I asked them, I was like, "Oh, you have 2 kids, right?" They were like, "Oh, yeah, yeah." I was like, What do you do with your kids, during the day?"
Mhm.
And so they were like, they're because they weren't expecting where I was going with this. And
Mhm.
they're like, "Oh, well, I drop them off here and I do that, and then they do this and they do this." And I was like, "So, all those people that you've entrusted with your kids all day, they do nothing, right? Are they just hanging out? Are they just chilling? Are they eating popcorn? Are they what are they
Mhm.
doing?
Mhm.
They're taking care of your kids, which means
Mhm.
that's a career path
Mhm.
for them
Mhm.
so that you can go
Do
and
what you're
do
doing.
what you are doing." So the next time you tell a mom who's at home with her own kids, who's doing something that you outsource, don't look at it as if she's doing nothing,
Because she's not.
because
She's
she's not.
Yeah. And the house does not move forward. The house is not running. A house is a actual physical thing that is
Exactly.
functioning. And the functions of the house are not taking place if the mother is not making them happen. And my aunt, who the one that I told you was pretty high up at Xerox, her husband was the one who chose to take that back seat, and which was also an anomaly in that time. So my uncle Donnie, he did a lot of the running around with my cousins while
Mhm.
she was in and out of airports and stuff. And so I do commend them now that I am older and I'm a mother. I do commend them for even choosing how their family dynamic was going to take
Mhm.
place because somebody has to do it at some point. Like Alex and I talk about this all the time, even in my career. Like I have been in marketing, he's in pharmaceutical sales. The first people to get let go in corporate America are the marketing team.
Mhm.
They feel most corporate people or most corporate boards and things feel like marketing is something they can live or just
They
live
can make
without.
or break it.
Yeah.
It just depends
Yeah,
on the
it's
day.
like, yeah, we don't need it. Like, even though you do need it, we're always the first to get let go.
Mhm.
Whereas in pharmaceutical sales, people are always sick. And unfortunately, it is a stable career path. So it's like, and I'm sure you and Demario are having these conversations for like
Mhm.
long term, what you're going to do to support
Right.
your family. Like, what does this look like when, football is finally,
Yep.
when the day comes when he is fully retired, or
Yep.
when the day comes that you want to do more the F word. Gosh, why am I messing this all the way up? I was about to say the F word food truck.
Well, it is so on
Yeah.
the side of it, it does say the F word presents the F word
Hmm.
something, and then it has Tamla Tailgate Street. So the food truck falls under like the F word umbrella. So that's where you
Yeah.
saw that.
But see, the thing is, it's an umbrella,
Mhm.
and you have all these bullet points that you're so good at doing. And you might really want to manifest this even more
Right.
in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
So we leave space for you to do so and not demean you to just, one thing, or to just taking care of your kids, because you're so much bigger than
So
just
much bigger. Yeah.
a nurturer.
Yep.
Like, yeah. So,
So what was it like for you? Because you did
mhm.
all the things. You went to school,
Mhm.
you did the
Mhm.
journalism, and then you
Mhm.
got the MBA, and then you
Mhm.
went and you worked in corporate America for like 10 years, and you
Mhm.
kind of
Yeah.
like bounced around. You talked about how you did like
Yeah.
the 3 layoffs. And like what was it for you to have
Yeah.
like that deciding moment of wait,
Yeah.
I took this path and I'm going to go into it. I'm going to absorb all the things that I need to absorb.
Mhm.
Um and I wanna grow from those things, but
Mhm.
then I also don't want to have to choose between wife, mom, and career.
Mhm.
Like, I can have them both, and I can do them both extremely well,
Yeah.
and then go from, "You know what? I'm gonna do
Mhm.
this in a way that it's kinda on my own terms," or I'm gonna leave the
Yeah.
corporate setting, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna go into entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
and then I'm still gonna, in that, be able to balance both worlds and not
Yeah.
feel like I have to choose or
Yeah.
I'm less or more valuable in one space versus the other and
Yeah.
all that.
I think I'm pretty headstrong, number one.
That's
So
good.
I don't think that I've ever come from a place of inadequacy. And if I could say one thing, I think most people in marketing who are really good at what they do, just the way that Grace was setting this up, I'm watching her.
Mhm.
She's good people.
Mhm.
And you're not having to tell her how
I
to
love
even do
Grace.
this.
No,
Yes,
I'm like, I
because
don't
she
know.
gets it.
Right.
But Grace would go into a corporate setting and have a VP who's been there for 50 years and does not understand how to do that setup.
Mhm.
And so they're missing so much, and she doesn't have the opportunity to grow because she's under the leadership of somebody who doesn't understand current times and current marketing trends and traditions that need to take place. That's always been my position. So I've
Mhm.
always been the one bringing more to the table than the corporate job was actually giving me back. I've been the one to like actually create the campaigns. It's funny, I'm not going to name the company, but one of the companies I worked for, they're still using my campaigns, everything down to the creative,
Oh,
down to the
you
bylines,
getting
the
some
copy.
kickback on that?
No, and that's the thing. So you're asking, do I get kickback? You don't get kickback when you're in corporate
Mm.
America. So why not use your God given talents and create something for yourself? I tell people one of the reasons why I did not go into broadcast journalism, number one, the pay was atrocious, and
Mhm.
I was gonna have to live with my parents. Just quite frankly, I'm gonna have
Mhm.
to move. I'm gonna have to move back home to
Gotta
where,
live home to work.
yeah, live home to work, which is crazy work, especially after you go get a college education. It just wasn't. That was
Right.
not what God had ordained for my life, and I knew that. So I was like, absolutely not. I'm not going back to Jackson Grace. Nope. So when I think about my own career path, I met Alex when I was 20 years old. I've always been ambitious. I did like 8 internships in undergrad. I had a full ride to undergrad. I had multiple scholarships actually. When I finished undergrad, I was 21 years old. I went into corporate America, worked for a couple years. Then I was like, okay, nobody takes a journalism degree serious. So
Okay.
in corporate America. So I might as well had not gotten, might as well not even gone to college, because people think, oh, you're just a creative. Like nobody takes this job seriously.
Right.
So then I decided I was going to go get my MBA, because I was like, okay, like I'm going to get my MBA because I'm actually going to marry Alex anyways.
Mhm.
But I have always been a career woman by default, and I wanted to make sure that I had everything in order before we got married, because
Yep.
also when you think about marriage, you have to set goals for your marriage.
You
I
do.
was not interested in being in a broke or broken marriage. And so
Mhm.
I will say that out loud for the people in the
For
back.
the people in the back,
I was
come
also
come closer.
yes. I was actually strategic about like what I wanted my life to look like with Alex, and not just for myself, but also for him.
Mhm.
I don't want to be a liability for him, and I don't want him to be a liability either. And so he and I said we will go wherever God places us after college. Alex is 9 months younger than me, so he graduated. He was still in college while I was out in the real world paying bills and
Oh, come
stuff.
on, young man. I did
So
that too. I had a little young
a
thing.
young man. And it's so funny because most of my friends were still in college too. Because I mean, you people take their time in college. I did not. I was,
Mhm.
trying to get out of there, trying to move on, trying to get my career started. I thought I was going to be Oprah by the time I was 25.
Come on. I
But
love that.
it's, you know what? It's 2 different days. Oprah had an internship, didn't even graduate, and got a job at News Channel 5. But then our generation, I was required to get a broadcast journalism degree to make 20 grand coming out of undergrad.
Yep.
No way, Jose. Like, that's not going to work. So, I chose to go into marketing, and still, like I said, it was not like, it's not like they were handing a, um, equitable check for giving the economy. I'm just like, for what it costs to go to college, the return on investment, which is I think what a lot of people are finding, is just not what it.
It's not what it is. I can
No,
tell you
it's not
that.
what it is. So, anyways, got my MBA at 24. Alex and I got engaged and married at 20, 26, 27. He and I had lived separately and apart, lived in different cities. I lived in DC, I lived in Louisville, he lived in Clarksville, I was in Memphis. Finally, I landed in Nashville. I got a job at Meharry, and
Okay.
that's what brought me to Nashville. And then he ended up moving from Clarksville to Nashville. He was in Clarksville with Kellogg's at the time.
Okay.
So we went wherever God wanted us to go. Then we landed here. But that was 7 years, 6 or 7 years of us working on our careers. And then
Mm.
we
Oh,
landed in
wow.
Nashville. Then I had always done creative stuff because I went to school for broadcast journalism. So, when people have a newsreel, it's
Right.
basically a portfolio of like them doing news interviews and news stories and things. So I already had that set up. I had a website, all the things. And so I
Oh,
basically just took that and continued building it. I mean, I was showing up to red carpets in Nashville and just like on the red carpets interviewing people. That's my skill set. That's what I do.
right.
So I continued to collect content that I was already doing before the term influencer came about.
Mhm.
And so I also continued working in corporate America essentially at
So
the
you were
same
doing
time.
both at the same time.
Yeah, but I never was not doing that.
Okay.
And so it's not like I woke up one morning and decided to dance on TikTok. I actually regret that in 2020, I was working for iHeart and saving the world with living room concerts. Meanwhile, the rest of the world was dancing on TikTok. I'm like, you know what? I don't know why. What I should have been out here dancing on TikTok. But I'm glad that I did both simultaneously, because in 2023, when I am at Restoration Hardware, our favorite lunch
Come
place
on.
that we went
I
to,
love a
I
good
was at
lunch there.
Restoration Hardware with two of my girlfriends, and we all worked at iHeart. And we worked remotely, so we would meet up for lunch, and we were just kikiing about getting laid off. And then my boss calls me while we're at lunch, and he says, "I have some bad news." I was like, "What?" He goes, "Well, I'm gonna have to lay you off. We've got some budget cuts." And I said, "Okay, well, thank you very much." And I did not feel depleted. I
Mhm.
didn't feel like, oh God, the world is over.
Yep.
I called Aaron, my podcast producer, the next day, and I said,
Wow.
"It's time." And
It's
and you
time.
know what? We went to work, and we kept the cadence going,
Mhm.
because the cadence was already in movement. I'd
Right.
already been setting this up. And this is also the thing I want people to learn from this lesson. I did not start yesterday. I have been doing this since I was in college, learning how to work a camera
Okay,
and a
okay.
microphone.
So this is the thing I want you to, because I want you to go deep here, because I
Okay.
think there is a huge misconception
Mhm.
around what a success looks like,
Yeah.
what does entrepreneurship looks like,
Yeah.
what does it look like to become an influencer.
Mhm.
They think like, everything is easy, this is overnight success, and so many people, because there's this whole new wave of like work-life balance and,
Yeah.
all these different things where I think they're misjudging and miscalculating
Oh,
what they're able
100%.
to see you do. And they're like, oh, that's easy. I can do it. Where I know that certain things aren't my skill set. Like you use the example of Grace setting up this tea set and doing
Mhm.
well, I can watch her
Mhm.
take an hour, 2 hours
To create the
to
content.
create a 30-second or 1-minute hours. So
Mhm.
people are like, "I wanna make money in my sleep. I wanna do this. this is what I wanna open some packages and tell somebody to buy a lip gloss," you know?
Yeah. Mhm.
Please, please, for the people in the back and the front, on the sides, break this down. I want you to go deep
Absolutely.
here.
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely much, much more complex than you just even shooting the content is a 5% portion of it. And so the hours that I mean, even the 10 to 15 minutes that she took here setting all of this up while you and I were chatting,
Mhm.
that is time and space that's going into the larger picture of the podcast in and of
Right.
itself. But somebody also went into the graphic design for this. And you, as a creative, also had to approve the graphic design for
Mhm.
this. Somebody went into the research for this podcast. I'm using this podcast example because we're sitting here and people are watching this. So I'm
Mhm.
going to use it from just this
Yep.
perspective alone. So Tamela has an umbrella, and this podcast is just the point on the far left of the umbrella.
Right.
And so, again, down to approving the graphics that are going to be sitting here, down to like the audio. When this podcast is done being recorded, after an hour and a half of us yapping, then somebody has to go in, color correct it, and edit it, and then also send it back to you. Social media clips have to be cut from it. Copy has to be written out from it. You might cut it in different ways for the different platforms. You're going to cut it for YouTube. You're going to cut it for Instagram. You're going to cut it for TikTok. You then might also want to create a thread that goes along with the conversations that we're having within this podcast, then put a link to the actual episode that you're uploading to YouTube in the thread. Then you're also maybe going to want to pitch this for some sponsors. So then you have to create a pitch that then also has your media kit that's carefully curated that you have also worked on and approved. There's so many complexities to what we're doing, just even in the 5 seconds that I just explained all of that.
Right.
So when people say to me, like, what do you do for a living? I get fired up because I'm like, you have no idea what I do for a living. And I do it in my sleep while I count sheep and take care of 2 kids and
Uh-huh.
manage my household
Right.
and still am there for my husband and have done so while working in corporate America at the same time.
Huh. Come on, get some shoulder.
You know? So I'm just like, but it's complex.
It's complex. It's not
So
simple.
no, and just because people have a million followers also doesn't mean that they're making millions of dollars.
Well, that's the
So
other thing because
yeah,
I know some people who bought some of the
bots, yes,
followers,
yes,
and it's one of those things where I don't even think that
yeah,
people understand like the strategy that
yeah,
goes into attempting to even grow
yeah.
your following organically.
Well, and the strategy, again, it takes place even with you deciding how you're going to cut content for different platforms to reach
Mhm.
different people.
Right.
Because the same people whose attention span is working for TikTok is not the same group of people who like to watch long form content on YouTube, is not the same group of people who would prefer to listen to the podcast on Audible in the car, is not
Mhm.
the same group of people who would prefer to listen to the podcast on iHeartRadio with ads in it, is
Mhm.
not the same group of people who would prefer to read a thread on threads talking about a particular subject matter. It's
Well,
different. So it's
come
like,
on. We're gonna
again,
go to church
there's,
on this.
yes, girl, because there's so much strategy behind it. And so, but again, corporate America did not teach me this. This
Mhm.
is stuff that I have also always brought to corporate America. When I was working for iHeart, I managed weekly marketing. And so essentially, I created robust marketing campaigns that went out to every part of the business, from the graphic design team to the editorial team team. My specific team worked on the app. So I would send out all the graphics. I would set up all the campaigns on the back end. I
Mm-hmm.
worked with engineers. I worked with UX and UI designers for the app. There's so much that goes into all this stuff. It's just, yeah. I mean, if you think for 5 seconds that creatives and entrepreneurs, influencers in general do
Mm-hmm.
not work, if they have worked this into a business
Mm-hmm.
and are actually making money from it, trust and believe that it's a well-oiled machine all the way down to they're probably having meetings with their accountants. If you are not, then you might need to reframe your business if you aren't.
And go
Yeah.
into why, because I think,
Yeah.
this is not like a quick fix. Like I
Yeah.
remember us having a conversation and you're like, you talked about marketing and like
Mhm.
you're marketing for major
Mhm.
brands. And so
Yeah.
you're doing that under your umbrella
Under
of
my
your
umbrella.
own entrepreneur endeavors. But with
Mhm.
that, there comes like all like, you can't just say, hey, send me a Venmo payment and
Not at
like,
all.
that's not how. So go into what is the behind the scenes
Mhm.
business dynamics.
Yeah.
Like you went into some of that people don't see that they should
Yeah.
consider when they're thinking about leaving corporate America.
Mhm.
Because I'm never the person to say, oh, like don't leave corporate America. But
Corporate
sometimes
America might also leave you.
corporate America may also leave you. But then if
Mhm.
you're leaving or it's leaving you, you have to have some sort of skill set independent from
Absolutely,
that.
because
Because if not,
yeah.
then what's your success plan? So I think sometimes what I'm hearing or seeing a lot of is
Yeah.
people are fed up with working corporate America, which
Mhm.
I am not anti corporate, I'm not
Mhm.
anti entrepreneur, like whatever works for you.
Me either.
But you
Yeah.
have to know yourself, right?
Yeah.
What is it that you were able to identify in yourself to say, like, I know me enough to know
Yeah.
that I'm building two things simultaneously.
Yeah.
And at some point, I'm going to walk away from corporate and I'm going to do this full time. But in
Mhm.
doing this full time, I have to
Mhm.
have this well-oiled machine.
Mhm.
There's a lot of logistics that goes into
Mhm.
this where corporate America, some of the things I might have
Mhm.
learned, some of the things I could take away from it,
Yeah.
but it's not this instant overnight success of how you talking about I'm making money and my sleep count cheap, but you're thinking, you're
Mhm.
creating, you're
Mhm.
dream like all of that goes into your strategy and your plan.
100%. Yeah.
So what's the misconception? What is this misconception? And
The
this
misconception is that you can buy a course and the course is going to teach you how to make seven figures. That is the misconception. It's like, and the person who you're buying the course from is likely making money off of your ignorance and
or they
actually.
probably not even making sip as quick as
Exactly.
themselves.
Exactly. But that is what's being sold on the internet. And
Mhm.
so it's like, buy my course, buy my course. And so then you got people buying business coaches that aren't exactly giving them business advice. I was actually talking to my accountant recently and we were just chuckling about it. But she said that she actually does bookkeeping for another accountant that tells people on the internet that she can do their taxes, she can file their LLCs, she can do all kinds of stuff. Now, this same person does not have her business affairs in order, but she on the internet is telling people,
She can help them get their
yes,
business affairs in
yes,
order.
yes.
Mm.
But
Oh wow. So
she has
y'all
hired my accountant to get her business
y'all
affairs in
better quit
order.
clicking them links, just
Yes.
signing up for stuff.
Yeah. And so when I say back to you asking about what takes place behind the scenes, I mean, I can be 100 emails deep into a campaign. And so I worked with P&G 2 years in a row for their Cincinnati Music Festival.
Mhm.
It included multiple pieces of content, multiple moving parts. They brought me in to go to their events, to cover their red carpets, to cover the concert experience, but also be able to market their products that they were using to sponsor the Cincinnati Music Festival.
Mhm.
So, for instance, I had Charmin one year as a brand partner. I had Pampers one year as a brand partner. And I'm trying to think one of the other brand partners. All of those brands are under the P&G umbrella.
Mhm.
So while people might be like, "Oh, they brought you in to go to a music concert," no, they brought me in to be a storyteller to be able to do all of that at one time to package it together like I did when I was learning how to be a good journalist in
Mhm.
undergrad and put this together in a 30-second package to then sell it back to you to where you don't even realize that I'm selling you some toilet paper while I'm at the concert. Now, on the backside of that, that is the creative venture.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also the business logistics of it. That's me negotiating with a third party PR company who represents Procter and Gamble. But Procter and Gamble is a large corporation that employs thousands of people all
Thousands of
over the
people.
world. But so they have different brand managers. So for, let's just say, Charmin in general, they probably got 300 people working on the Charmin product, and then they have outsourced it to different agencies to handle
Mm-hmm.
this, that, and the third.
Mm-hmm.
So then the influencer agency then hires me. I'm negotiating the deal. I don't have a manager because I also don't trust people to be able to
Mm-hmm.
have the marketing know-how
So
that
you're
I
your
do.
own manager
I am my
too.
own
That's another
manager.
job.
Yes, yes. And what I'm finding here lately, which I've talked to quite a few people about this, a lot of people are managing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the hot thing. And also, kind of, how back in the day, people used to be like MTV cribs, like, let me show you my crib.
Mm-hmm.
Well, managers became like, oh, call my manager. Remember when Ellen had that commercial, have your people call my people?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
It's like, well, your people started having some of y'all in jail because they weren't paying y'all's taxes on time. So it's like, I'm actually going to trust myself to do
Mm-hmm.
what you're supposed to be doing.
Right. Right. And
Yes.
save myself some coins and some
Oh,
headaches
I
and
totally have saved
not
myself.
being behind the bars.
I could talk to you all day, but this actually happened with another brand collaboration that I did. It was a brand trip. To other influencers from all over the United States were there. We were at dinner talking about how much we all got paid. I was the highest paid one. I had the lowest amount of followers, and everybody had a manager except for me. Now, why did y'all's managers put y'all in this position and take 20% of your checks? Because your manager had 25 people that they were trying to manage. So when the
Mm-hmm.
brand came to them and said, hey, give Tamela this deal for $15,000, they were like, okay, yeah, we'll take it, because they're getting $15,000 from all 25 of the people that they're managing.
Right.
And then they're taking 20% of all of that. So the manager did not care enough about you, Tamela. The manager was looking at the overhead of all of the checks
Right.
from all of the 25 influencers that they were managing, and they're like raking in 20% off of everybody, and then
So they don't
laughing all the
care.
way to the bank. So they
Oh,
don't care
wow.
about you as an individual that's trying to run a
Right.
business.
Right.
It's
They're
so
running their own business.
Yeah, they're running their own business.
And you're a client of their business.
Yes.
While you're trying to build your own
Yeah, and
business.
20% might not sound like a lot, but
That's
if
a
you have
lot.
$100,000, $200,000 contract, $25,000 contract, 20% is a chunk.
It's a chunk.
If you have a 3-month contract versus a 6-month contract versus a year-long contract, 20% can be a lot. So it's, I would implore people to really understand what business they are trying to get into.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the way down to even you having a food truck. There are codes and things that you have to abide
So
by.
many.
It's so much bigger than you just putting the F word food truck on the side of your food truck and setting up at the Saint Stadium.
Thank you.
It's so much
Thank
bigger
you
than
for
that.
letting the people know
I
that.
mean, even the logistics for you to have your space to operate on the property
Right.
is a thing. I think
Okay.
people think that they can just pull up. We just gonna pull up on the internet today. We just gonna pull out our iPhones and all this stuff. And it's just like, yeah, you can pull up, but you're not gonna make any money just pulling up. You
Right.
better pull it together.
Pull up, pull it together.
Pull it together. Have some sort of strategy and some decorum about what you're doing, because you're actually gonna find yourself, sitting somewhere trying to figure out why you put in all of this energy into something that's not bringing you any return on investment. So it's complex. It's complex. But yeah, I mean, there's, do you operate as an S corp? Do you operate as an LLC? Like, I mean, what form of the LLC are you operating as? Like, do you have an accountant? Are you filing your
Wow.
taxes? Are you doing bookkeeping? Are you paying yourself? I joined a mastermind once, and none of the women were paying themselves, but they didn't even really understand what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's
Yep.
like, that is even interesting. As entrepreneurs, creatives need to become entrepreneurs in order for their business to be successful.
So how did you learn all of this?
I came from
You
entrepreneurs.
Okay. So you came from entrepreneurs, and so there was groundwork that was already
I
laid. There
came
were
mhm.
lessons that you'd already learned along the way. There were
Yeah,
things that your lived experiences
yeah.
lend itself to for you to be able to take and bounce ideas off of.
And do things differently. So
Mhm.
yeah, like it wasn't set up for me. I don't want anybody here to think like, oh, well, her dad handed her X, Y, and Z. It was not. No, my dad was doing his best to also manage a business as a black man who was a general contractor in West Tennessee in 1995. And I say that because even back then, contractors licensing was done much differently. Now there are all kinds of barriers in the way
Mhm.
for people to even get their contractor's license. You have to have a certain amount of money in the bank just for you to apply to get a contractor's license
Wow.
in the state of Tennessee now. It wasn't like that back then. So,
Mm.
and the reason why you need a contractor's license and a certain level of contractor's license is if you are a contractor who wants to work on an airport project and you do not have a contractor's license, you can't even bid on the project. So
Mhm.
you've already put yourself out of making the $1 million mark projects
Right.
because you don't have a contractor's license to be able to do that.
Oh, wow.
So there's just so many different things. That's why I
That's a
said
lot.
whatever you want to do, you kind of have to understand like the barriers to entry. You have to understand the business logistics around it. Like
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure that you have to go through. I just saw Tina Knowles her food truck got shut down, or was
Oh,
it wasn't
goodness.
a food truck, it was like a station or something that she had
Mhm.
at the rodeo.
Okay.
The what do you call the people that come out and
Health
the health,
inspect.
yeah, they
Mhm.
shut it down.
Oh, and they will.
Yeah, but you know that. But why do
Mhm.
you know that? Because you didn't just pop up.
No, because I thought because I had been doing, like, different food truck,
Mhm.
adventures, but by renting a truck from
Mhm.
somebody who was already pre-established,
Yeah.
and so then when I got into it and I started to pull back the layers, I realized it was so many steps that people don't
Yeah.
even tell you about when you're
Yeah.
so you have to do your due diligence on the front end. Because
Yeah.
'cause I'm like, if I would just would've pulled up at the stadium, they coulda shut me down, took me to
Yeah.
jail because you're doing so much illegally where there are, like, a
Yeah.
million steps. There are things that has to be renewed every 3 months, every 6 months.
Yeah.
You have to have a there's just all these things that if you don't do the work, like, you would
Yeah.
think, "Oh, she just bought a food truck, put her face on the side of it, and popped up
Mhm.
downtown and started taking
And
some
that's
money."
not how it
And that's not
goes.
how it works.
And I mean, even with Tina Knowles' food truck, there was probably some stuff that she, as an individual, because once you get so busy, you can't handle all the little
Mhm.
things.
Right.
So you do have to outsource and have
Mhm.
people do X, Y, and Z. And so I think even with that situation, she probably didn't even know, like, as who she is and what she's got going on, she probably didn't even realize, like, hey, this is whatever. I don't even know
Right.
what happened with it, what the in-depth situation was, but I
And it
saw
could
it.
be something minor, like, they
Mhm.
could come on there and your water is not to 100 degrees, it's at 99, and they'd be like, "Oh, close
Yeah.
down," so it could
Wow.
be something so minor because they're so particular about,
Yeah.
like I remember there was one time I was going through an inspection, and they were like,
Mhm.
my water needed to be, like, 103
Mhm.
degrees, but it
Yeah.
needed to be able to stay at that degree for X amount of
Yeah.
minutes, if not, I failed inspection.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Oh, you gotta figure out how to get your water to stay on, we can't,"
Mhm.
get so it's all these little things that I think, you
Yeah.
just don't think about that matters where I'm like, 1 degree in the water shouldn't matter, but based on,
It does,
it
but it
does.
also matters when you're working with brands. So,
Mhm.
for instance, if I am filming at a stadium, and there are tons of people there, and my goal is to make sure that I am storytelling Charmin as the
Mhm.
brand that's under the P&G umbrella, I can't have Grace in the video if she did not sign off on being in the video. So
Mhm.
when I turn that in to the PR firm that booked me, and then they send it over to the brand managers who work for Charmin under the P&G umbrella, and Grace is in the video, they're like, "Who is that?" And she didn't sign off on being in this video. Like, even when it comes to my own children, if
Mhm.
my own children have not been listed as talent,
Mhm.
I can't just go filming them and have them be a part of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
There's laws and things, provisions to protect people in
Mhm.
brands. And so I think even the smallest things, like I said, you don't just pull out your camera and just start filming everything, because there's things, let's say for instance, if you're filming for Nike,
Mhm.
and if I'm filming for Nike and Alex has got on like an Adidas hat that he just wears every day, and then he just happens to be in the back of the video. Like,
Yep.
there's these little things that you have to think of that can
Mhm.
happen. And I have learned some of this along the way, because I've been like, oh, I wasn't even paying attention to the fact that that said sure. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I wasn't even
Mhm.
paying attention to the fact that you could actually see the Gucci on my shoes or
Right.
whatever the
Right.
case. But
Yep.
yeah, there's some things that you just can't, if
You
you're
can't do.
promoting one brand,
Yeah.
you can't have
And
another
I didn't
brand.
realize that
Yeah.
until later. That was like some
Yeah.
of the learning experience with even doing content alongside other people where they're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
like I know you like this brand, but you can't wear that belt or you can't have that purse
Mhm.
logo or it's
Yeah.
like all these different things." I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that's a real
Mhm.
thing when you're creating content for other brands, other
It's little
individuals, and
stuff.
it's a lot of like subtle things that you
Yeah.
learn along the way." How did you decide to incorporate your family into
Yeah.
your brand and
Yeah.
build this umbrella
Mhm.
with the sweet name and like
Yeah.
adding the children in, adding your
Mhm.
husband in, and collectively, like you guys are working together
Yeah.
on this venture.
Believe it or not, Alex has never been a social media person.
Really?
Yeah, we're both extroverts, but Alex, it's funny because Jarrell and I were talking about this today. I said, if you ever see Alex dancing on my content, that means we're probably getting a divorce. 'Cause-
Or we just got a large check from somebody. One or the
One or the
other.
other. But that's just not really his thing.
Okay.
And so he was never like jumping to
He's so
be,
cool. He's just
he's
he's
just
got swag.
chill.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not his thing to be like, okay, let's learn this routine and
Mhm.
get on social media and do that. He and I both are very much so people.
Mhm.
So we love to actually connect with people in real life and, just be present. But I think over time he also started to see what this meant to me to be
Mhm.
able to build a brand, because my house burnt when I was 8, and I don't really
Mm.
have any photos from 8 years and younger. What
Oh
I
wow.
have is photos from that were given to my relatives,
Mm.
or what my parents were able to save from the fires. So I
Mhm.
think that also has catapulted me into this industry even further, to document everything,
Okay.
because I look at it like that. And so Alex he sees that side of me as being a therapeutic side,
Mhm.
because even for the girls, so they have Instagram, but it's private.
Mhm.
I do tag them, but unless you're one of our friends, you don't see their posts.
Right.
But if people ask me, "Hey, can I see photos of your kids?" I just click on Rain's Instagram page, and I can show you memories of her all the way to when she was a baby, because it's basically a scrapbook, a digital scrapbook,
I love
but it's
that.
private. Now, if she chooses to one day run with it, then she can. But right now, it's like, this is my way of being able to document it in a way that's subtle. I
Mhm.
mean, the way of the future is digital,
It
anyways.
is. It really is.
So it's kind of my digital archive. So I think Alex kind of started to understand that side of me. And then also, we're a picture taking family. So,
Okay.
like, literally every holiday, I mean, we can have like bonnets and do rags on, and we're still going to take pictures, because we are the family that just wants to just
You wanna
capture
have
the
all the
moment. Yeah,
memories,
even if it
capture the
just lives in our
moments.
phones. And so, over time, 16 years in, he just understands it's part of the assignment. As far as the Sweet brand, I don't know why nobody branded it even sooner. I'm like, but
'Cause it's I mean, it's
his families,
amazing.
they're not picture taking people.
Okay.
They are, he has 900 family members in Memphis, and
I
they
love when you
are,
always say
I
that.
do,
We're
I say
going
that
to
all the
see
time.
Alex's 900 family
900
members.
family members, but like they're all just so chill and just Memphis and just Southern, and again, present, and just like, I mean, it's interesting because I'm like, but you have this name that no one has ever decided to like really
Mhm.
run with. But again, I think his family, he also comes from worker bees,
Mhm.
whereas I come from more entrepreneurial creative people. So
Mhm.
when the two met,
Mhm.
um i.e. me and Alex, like he also kind of like learned how to be more free and creative through me.
I
And
love
so,
that.
because his dad's been at FedEx for almost 50 years.
Oh, wow.
Probably, so he was with the first crew of folks who got hired
He
at
was with the
FedEx.
original.
Yes,
He the
he's a
OG.
OG. He's still there, and I don't even know why he's still.
Really?
Yeah, I'm
Oh
like,
my
sir, you need to
gosh.
retire. but
He's like,
but
no.
he's the manager there, and he loves it, and he gets up every day and puts on his button up, and he's has his little coffee, and he
Oh
goes to
my
work.
goodness.
But it is part of my therapeutic journey to have turned this into a brand,
Mhm.
but it's also part of just my authenticity of who I am as an individual,
Mhm.
because who I am on social media is who I am in real life. Like, I
That's
collect
true.
people,
I can say that for sure.
and
That's so true.
I cherish my relationships, and I'm
Mhm.
guarded about my people.
Mhm.
And I think you can do so and exist in the world too. And I think you understand that, because you also have to do the same. You
Mhm.
have to like exist in who you are, but
Right.
you also have to be available to the world too.
Right.
So yeah, I built this brand, and the Sweet House podcast did not have a name for the longest. And then I decided to name it the Sweet House, because I'm literally inviting people into the house to have conversations about their nonlinear career trajectories and lifestyles,
Mhm.
because we all had this vision for how we thought our lives was going to go.
Right.
Our lives were going to go, and then life showed us otherwise. Life
Yeah.
told us, like, no, this is what's going to happen. No, you're going to be 27
Mhm.
and your dad's going to go to heaven. No, you're going to have 2 kids. I honestly didn't see any of this happening. I don't know what I thought was going to happen,
Like, I don't
but
know how I thought life was gonna unfold, but
but it is folding.
it's
So, but I can't complain. I feel very blessed in the way that it has unfolded, but I think it's all been orchestrated, because like I
Mhm.
said, everything down to me going to University of Memphis and meeting Mr. Sweet there,
Mhm.
to me already creating content and already setting the framework up for me to build a brand. And I mean, my Instagram handle before was Jasmine Katrina. My middle name is Katrina.
Oh,
So,
wow, I did not know that.
yeah, Hurricane Katrina.
Aw, come on.
But my social media was always Jasmine Katrina until we got married. And then I switched it to Jasmine K Sweet. And I switched my website and everything over. And just, branding is an evolution as well.
Mhm. It
And
is.
so who knows what it will be in 10 years, but I will continue to evolve. And when the girls get older, and who knows, we're probably going to be flying cars and stuff by then. But I'll
Probably.
never be the one to tell them that whatever they're doing is not a job.
Mhm.
Like people told me. I mean, I was a social media manager for Humana when I was 23 years old, and people were like, "Oh, what are you doing? Like, what do you mean? That's not a real job." And I'm like, "What do you mean it's not? What are y'all talking
What are y'all
about?"
coming Well,
Like,
yeah. I get a check every month.
yes, this
Like,
is this
this
is
is
a real
job.
job. Yeah, you'll see one
Yeah.
day. So, when I put it all together, it makes sense for me.
It all makes sense, and
Yeah,
you can see, like, the whole evolution of it all and how
yeah,
God was, like, intentionally orchestrating a
yeah,
lot of it, and you're, like, just very vocal about your faith too, like, you
yeah,
like, that's, like, a founding principle for
yeah.
you and your marriage
It's a
and your family,
non-negotiable.
and it's a non-negotiable, and so how has that played a part in just, like, you building out all of this that you've been able to accomplish, but then not compromising it? Because with social media, there are all these
Yeah.
different trends and there are all these
Mhm.
different things competing for your time and your
Mhm.
attention to
Mhm.
buy into to
Yeah.
have your next big break. How has it been that you've been able to not compromise your faith in all the things that you're doing?
I think when you compromise your faith, you don't have a foundation to exist on.
Mhm.
You're willing to do anything for nothing.
Ooh.
And so that's just not something that I've ever been willing to negotiate. It's like I said, it's a non-negotiable for me, because I need everything
Right.
to flow in God's order. He said he was going to order our steps, and I 100% believe that he has ordered our steps. Like I said, everything. I mean, how do I explain that my daughter came into this world at 2:02 in the morning on 11/21/21,
Mhm.
a day that had like such like just heavy grief.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, how do you explain that? Like, so much has happened in my life where I'm just like, I know for a fact,
Yeah.
like, this is what it was supposed to be, even down to when I got pregnant with Halo. And then my sister in law unexpectedly passed away.
Mm.
Even Halo's spirit, I feel like Ray knew
Mm-hmm.
just the year that we were all having and that my family needed that joy. And
Mm-hmm.
Ray did have a heart condition, but it came about within the past 2 years. And
Wow.
it's not like that was the day. We did not get to crowd around her bed and say goodbye.
Right.
We woke up in the middle of the night and her sister was calling me saying, just, Ray's gone. And I'm like, dude, what? Like, I was counting sheep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, said what's happening here. So when I
Mm-hmm.
think about it, I'm just like, we can't control this. Like, my
Right.
devotional this morning said rest because
Ooh.
Friday I was like, all right, I got to get Rain to school today. I got to get to the gym today. I have work to do. I'm going to record Tamela's podcast. I have to pump. We just talked about the pumping
Right.
schedule.
Right.
I'm like, I have to pump today. I still have to invoice. I have to pay myself today. I have to,
Right.
I got to handle business today. I got to go get Rain from school. This evening, I have stuff to do. Tomorrow, you and I will be together again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's things, life is happening. Alex and we're going to the beach with our family in May. We're over here talking about flights on the way here. We're
Right.
constantly in motion planning these things. And it's like, if I'm thinking that I'm going to do all this on my own, then I'm going to be exhausted. And
Yeah.
I know I cannot live on the strength of myself. I just
Yeah.
can't. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
And you know what? My daddy used to sit in the car. He would drive home from work and he would sit outside in his truck. He drove an old one ton. So he would show up on
Aw.
to his jobs in this old beat up one ton, and he would have on his cowboy boots, and he was just like the part.
Uh-huh.
And he would sit in the car and listen to gospel music. And now I get it. I'm just
Yeah.
like, I would be like, what is daddy doing just sitting out there listening to gospel music?
Right.
Now I'm like, you know what? Like, one of my friends came in town, the one I went to the club with,
Uh-huh.
and she was like, you want me to be the DJ? I was like, probably so, because I ain't got nothing out here but Maverick City music.
You
I'm
probably
like,
want a DJ because
look,
we
I'm
going
like,
to church if I DJ.
I have the David soundtrack because that's what Rain wants to listen to on the way to school. But I just think, my faith has saved me too. Because
Right.
I'm just not willing to participate in the showdown. Like, I'm gonna let y'all have that. Again, God didn't want me dancing on TikTok.
He's like, that is not your assignment.
No, it's
I
not
need
your
you to understand
assignment.
your assignment.
Yes,
And that's big.
and when my human side said, all right, I need to dance on TikTok because that assignment is going to get me 2 million followers tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And I can close X amount of brand deals
Right.
in X amount of time with my 2 million followers. But my faith side is, you are doing everything in your possible human right to orchestrate the plan that God has. You're
Mm-hmm.
working, because that's the thing. People confuse work with the rest too.
Right.
And so you cannot sit here and just pray and not have the work flow to go along with it. You have to have everything in motion.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I feel like I tried to live a balanced life of making sure that the ball is still rolling like that. And I'm not perfect. I am the cousin pastor some days, but
It's okay.
Listen, we
Jesus
try
died
again.
for it all. We try again tomorrow. We keep
Yes.
until until we can't try no more.
Yes, and the day Rain starts saying something.
You're like, don't say that now.
Like, please don't say that ever
Please don't
again. So, but I don't know. I feel like having good people around is also such a blessing too.
It is.
It helps you on your faith journey.
Good people help you a lot on your faith journey. And I think, like, as you get older, you're able to discern, like, who's supposed to be in the boat with you, who's supposed to be kind of like outside of the boat, who's supposed to be like way out there. And then you have intentionality around how you steward those relationships. And I think one of the things I really appreciate about you is, like, your people are your people. And the people who are your people feel that they're your people. They feel loved. They feel supported. They feel that you're cheering them on. They feel that you're going to tell them the truth. I mean, there's just so much I can go, like, on and on. And so I am so blessed to know you and to get to love you and
Oh,
to get to do life with you, because what you offer and the value that you add to the people who are your people, like it is something that you just can't replicate. And it's
yeah.
amazing. And I love you for it. And I appreciate it so
I
much.
love you for
Oh,
it. And
yes.
I'm so grateful. But
Yeah.
I knew we were soul sisters though.
Yes.
I feel
Yes.
energy, and we met at church
We
and
did.
through Tara, and then we went to lunch for like 4 hours, and I was
Yep.
like, that's my sister.
That's it. I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
sit and have lunch for 4 hours with people who aren't going to be my people.
No, but it's just there's a piece that you
Mm-hmm.
have that I love and
Oh,
appreciate,
thank
and
you.
an authenticity, because you live in a world that could change you overnight and does
Yeah.
for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I don't know, we are good Southern women.
Good, upstanding,
Southern
Southern,
women.
noble women. That's who we are. That's
Yep.
what we do.
Yep, and that's just what it is. But I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
And I admire you so much. Like
Thank
I
you. You're
said,
so sweet.
your journey. I'm just again, I think God placed you in my life too, because I also come from this big family, and I just get it.
Yeah,
I feel
you get
like,
it. You
yeah,
get the organized chaos, is what I
yeah,
call it.
I just get it. But you're
Yeah.
doing a great job,
Thank
a
you.
phenomenal
I
job.
try. Now I'll be looking
Yeah.
at them sometime. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have to have a college fund and a therapy fund, and then I'd be like, now which one of y'all gonna
No,
turn?
no, no. But they got the tools. They have the
They have the
tools.
tools,
Yeah.
so that's a part of like training them up in the way
But you
that they
know
should
what,
go.
too? Somebody will turn.
Yeah.
There's 5 of us, and it's gotten crazy. But but
I be trying to figure. I'm like, is it you?
but
Is
it
it you?
always gets reeled back in. I think
Right.
this past weekend in Houston, when we were all in Houston, I was like, "You know what? Daddy is probably just laughing at us
Uh-huh.
because so much happens." I tell people it's an episode of the Kardashians every week. It's just something is happening. My
Right.
brothers are at the beach with my mom right now.
Oh, that's sweet.
Valerie's back in New York. She'll be here next week. Kayla's in Houston. Her kids are on spring break.
Mhm.
It's just once your kids are out here in the world and they also have their own families,
Yeah.
it is gonna get wild.
It's gonna
But
get
they'll
wild
have
and
the
crazy.
tools.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they'll be fine.
They'll be fine. I'm
Yeah, and they
trusting
got
that.
Rain and Halo.
Yes, listen. I'll be coming. Like, listen, you said they were gonna be fine. Now talk me off a ledge.
They're gonna be fine. I don't know about Rain and Stormy, but you know. I'm like,
The storm and the
I know.
rain.
Isn't that crazy? Like,
Right.
we both have kids with these wild, crazy names.
I know. I
I'm
know.
like,
It's good. They're
yeah,
gonna be good kids though. I'm gonna hang my hat on that. They're
they
gonna be
are.
good.
They are.
So, okay, there's this thing we've been doing where, like, when we have people on, we
Hmm.
want them to leave the guests with like their tea, like their last piece of it could be something fun, something
Hmm.
people don't know about you, an encouraging word, something people should chase, not chase, like whatever it is that if there's somebody who's listening and they're looking to you, like what would you want to leave them with? Or if there's something about you they don't know, what would something that you would say they should know about you?
I am in my motherhood era, and I am 100% leaning into that. And I'm reframing what it looks like
Mm,
for myself.
okay.
I don't want to exist on societal expectations of it. I want to just create what this looks like to be Jasmine Sweet as a mom. So
Mhm.
I will tell any mother and just any individual that they should lean into their purpose a bit more. I was actually at lunch having a conversation with a friend who moves here from Bermuda, and she said in Bermuda, you have to have permission from your husband to work.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
But I think we live in our bubbles, but then we're watching social media to influence how we are supposed to be.
Mhm.
And so my message to the people and my tea to the people, my tea bag note, because I actually drink tea every night, and my tea typically has like a
I know,
little
and
note
these
on it.
I looked on these when I got here, and I'm like, these don't have a note because I'm always like, what's my note for that? It's like a fortune cookie
Yes.
for me.
Yes. My message would be faith, family, and purpose.
Mm.
And as you drink that tea, I think that you should meditate on what that looks like for you.
Mhm.
Because even if you are an individual, you are still a family of one.
Mhm.
And faith is going to drive whatever journey you are on.
Yep.
And then your purpose, you were brought here for a reason to do something. And if you are not doing what God has called you to do, doors for other people around you will also not be open.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Ooh,
if
that's
somebody
deep.
did not create the lights, somebody didn't create the microphone,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't use their talents, they
Right.
didn't lean into their purpose, we wouldn't be able to sit here now.
That's true.
If somebody didn't engineer these chairs, living and leaning into their purpose,
Yep. Yep.
we would be sitting on the floor, sis.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a whole word.
So
That's a whole word. I love that.
that's where I'm at.
I love that. I love that for you.
I don't
love
have it
that for
figured
you.
out, but
You don't have to.
family, faith, and purpose.
Family, faith, and purpose. Those are the things that we should all learn how to prioritize.
Mm-hmm.
Family, faith, and purpose. And I think when we do that, we find our place in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and we find a way to leave the world and the people we get to impact better than we found them.
100%.
100%. So I want my people to go and follow you,
Yeah.
learn more about you, see all the amazing things you're up to. So what are the platforms and the handles that they can go to tap in?
I am Jasmine K Sweet on all platforms. I'm actually getting my website revamped, but it is jasmineksweet.com. But yes, go find me and go watch existing episodes of the podcast because I'm not filming right now. I am in my motherhood era and I have a 4-month-old.
I appreciate that.
And I appreciated you even saying, hey, I took some time off to,
Yeah.
let life happen
Mhm.
and then came back to this.
Yep.
Because this platform needed to happen because if you weren't leaning into your purpose, then I can't share my story. And
Come
I
on.
can't share my dad's story, who's no longer here to tell
Right.
his story.
Which is a powerful story. And you can
Yeah.
see, like, through you telling it,
Mhm.
just how he radiated the world and
Yeah.
like the legacy that he left. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that.
Of course, sister. Well, thank
you
you for having
being
me.
here. Guys, thank y'all for joining us for another episode. Every Wednesday, 5:00, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Only a couple more episodes left in this season, but we'll see y'all soon.
Tea with Tamela. Let's laugh and spread love. Tea with Tamela. You're more than enough. Tea with Tamela. Don't ever give up. Tea with Tamela. Come and fill your cup. Tea with Tamela.